The drizzling rain in downtown Manhattan didn't bother me as I pulled my old Tesla Model S to the curb outside Sterling Tower. The car was deliberately chosen high-end enough to not raise eyebrows, but dated enough to maintain my carefully crafted image of moderate success. "You can't park here," my brother Marcus called out, hurrying down the building's marble steps under a designer umbrella. "The valet area is for guests who actually belong here." I smiled, noting how the building's gleaming facade reflected the city lights. My building, though none of them knew it yet. The invitation said street parking was fine. For regular people, yes. He gestured to the line of Bentleys and Rolls-Royces pulling up to the valet. "Dad's 60th birthday deserves better than your modest situation. Park around the corner. We wouldn't want to embarrass the family." If he only knew that I'd signed the papers finalizing my purchase of Sterling Tower just this morning. The crown jewel of Manhattan real estate, acquired through a series of shell companies and discreet negotiations. Even the current party guests, the city's elite gathering to celebrate my father's birthday, had no idea their favorite building had a new owner. "Whatever you say, Marcus." I handed him my keys. "Since you're so concerned, you can park it for me." His face reddened. "I'm not your valet. Just keep it out of sight. And try not to mention your little investment job to Dad's friends. It's embarrassing enough having a sister who couldn't hack it in real estate." I smoothed down my vintage Dior dress, another carefully chosen piece that looked expensive but not too expensive, and headed for the entrance. The security guard Thomas gave me a knowing wink. He was one of the few who knew my true identity as the building's new owner. Inside, Sterling Tower's grand ballroom had been transformed into a temple of excess. Crystal chandeliers cast rainbow shadows across marble floors, while waiters circulated with champagne that cost more than most people's monthly rent. My father, Michael Sterling, stood holding court near the center, surrounded by New York's real estate royalty. "Ah, Sarah finally decides to join us," my stepmother Caroline's voice carried across the room. "We were just discussing the mysterious buyer of the tower. Your father's friends are quite concerned about who might have acquired such a prestigious property." I accepted a glass of champagne, hiding my smile. "Oh, that must be quite the topic of conversation." "Indeed," my father boomed, joining us. "Some upstart buying my building right from under me. Probably one of those tech billionaires with no respect for real estate tradition. When I find out who it is." Now, Michael," one of his friends, a developer named Harrison, interrupted. "Maybe they'll keep you on as a tenant. Though the rent might go up." The group laughed except for my father, who scowled. Marcus reappeared, still looking annoyed about our earlier encounter. "At least they can't take away your success, Dad. Speaking of which, I just closed the Peterson deal. $30 million in pure profit. That's my boy." Dad clapped him on the shoulder. "A true Sterling. Unlike some who couldn't handle the family business." He shot me a disappointed look. I thought about the documents in my office upstairs, the ones that would reveal tomorrow morning that Sterling Tower, along with half the blocks surrounding it, now belonged to Sterling Ventures Global. My company built quietly over the past decade while they thought I was just dabbling in small investments. "Sarah's doing fine with her little investment portfolio," Caroline said with fake kindness. "Not everyone can handle big business. Some people are just meant for smaller things." The party continued in this vein, with Marcus bragging about deals while my father's friends discussed the mysterious new owner of their beloved building. I kept quiet, knowing that tomorrow would change everything. My phone buzzed, a message from my CO office upstairs. "Final papers filed. Announcement set for 9 a.m. tomorrow. Press conference arranged." "Probably another client emergency," Marcus smirked, noticing my phone. "Must be tough handling those small accounts." "Something like that," I murmured, watching as another group of real estate moguls entered the ballroom. They were all talking about the building's sale, speculating about the buyer's identity. "I heard it's some foreign investment group," one said. No, must be one of those Silicon Valley types," another argued. "Whoever it is," my father interrupted, "they'll learn that Sterling Tower needs a Sterling to run it. Been in our family for 3 generations." I checked my watch. In less than 12 hours, they'd all learned that the building did indeed still belong to a Sterling, just not the one they expected. The thought made the champagne taste even sweeter. "Sarah, darling," Caroline called out. Would you mind moving your car? The mayor's arriving soon and we can't have it cluttering up the street. I handed her my keys. Why don't you move it yourself? I'd hate to miss the mayor's arrival. As she sputtered in indignation, I moved toward the windows, looking out at the city, my city now, or at least a significant part of it. Tomorrow the name Sterling would take on a whole new meaning in Manhattan real estate. But for now I would play their game. Let them have their last few hours of feeling superior. By this time tomorrow, they'd all be scrambling to make appointments with the new owner of Sterling Tower, their unsuccessful daughter who couldn't hack it in real estate. The evening progressed exactly as expected, a parade of wealth, ego, and thinly veiled condescension. Every real estate mogul in Manhattan seemed determined to remind everyone of their latest deals, their newest acquisitions, their growing empires. All while speculating about Sterling Tower's mysterious new owner. Did you hear about the Anderson building? Marcus announced loudly, making sure all nearby groups could hear. Added it to our portfolio last week. 30 stories of prime Manhattan real estate. I suppressed a smile, taking another sip of champagne. The Anderson building had been one of my first acquisitions through Sterling Ventures Global, purchased through a subsidiary 6 months ago. Marcus had merely leased 3 floors, though he was obviously implying much more. That's nothing, James Peterson, another developer, chimed in. Word is the new Sterling Tower owner has been quietly buying up half of Midtown. Nobody knows who they are, using all these shell companies and private trusts. Probably some foreign consortium, my father growled. No respect for tradition. When I find out who's behind this dash. What will you do, Dad? I asked innocently. The sale's already final. He turned to me, irritation flickering across his face. This is a business discussion, Sarah. Why don't you go mingle with Caroline's charity friends? They're more your speed. My phone buzzed again. Another message from my office. Press packets distributed. All major networks confirmed for tomorrow's announcement. Forbes exclusive interview scheduled for 10 a.m. Another small client crisis? Marcus smirked. You know, sis, if you'd stuck with real estate instead of playing with investments, you might actually understand what we're discussing. I was saved from responding by the arrival of Mayor Thompson, who immediately drew my father and brother into a conversation about city development. I used the opportunity to slip away to the bathroom, actually heading to my private elevator instead. Thomas, the security guard, quickly unlocked it for me. Everything's set for tomorrow, Miss Sterling? Perfect timing, I replied as the doors closed. How's the new security system installation going? Complete on all floors. Though your family doesn't know about it yet. Mr. Marcus tried to access the executive floor earlier. His old codes didn't work. The elevator opened directly into my newly renovated executive suite, the entire top floor of Sterling Tower. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a breathtaking view of Manhattan, while state-of-the-art screens displayed real-time data from all my properties across the city. I checked the latest reports. Sterling Ventures Global now own not just Sterling Tower, but 23 other major properties in Manhattan alone. The Anderson Building, the Peterson Complex, Marina Plaza, all acquired quietly over the years while my family thought I was playing with small investments. My assistant, David, looked up from his desk. The market's already buzzing about tomorrow's announcement. Your father's competitors are calling non-stop, trying to learn the buyer's identity. And the other arrangements? All set. New security protocols ready to implement at midnight. Building management has been notified of the ownership change, though not your identity yet. And the construction crews are ready to begin the renovations you planned. I smiled, remembering how my father had rejected those same renovation plans 3 years ago when I'd suggested them. Too expensive, he'd said. This is business, Sarah, not one of your charity projects. Now those renovations would transform Sterling Tower into Manhattan's first fully sustainable, employee-focused building. Solar panels, green spaces, a subsidized daycare center for workers, and a complete modernization of all systems. My phone buzzed with another message from downstairs, Caroline wondering where I'd disappeared to. I took one last look at my empire through the windows before heading back to the party. The elevator opened just as Marcus was telling yet another group about his acquisition of the Anderson building. 20% under market value, he boasted. That's how you build an empire. Really? I couldn't resist. I heard the new owner paid full price. Through Brunswick Holdings, wasn't it? Marcus froze. How would you know that? Oh, I keep track of these things. Small investments, you know. Before he could respond, my father's voice boomed across the room. Everyone. A toast to the future of sterling real estate. Tomorrow we begin negotiations to buy back our tower. No outsider is going to take what belongs to the Sterling family. The crowd cheered, raising their glasses. I raised mine too, but for a very different reason. Sarah, Caroline appeared at my elbow. Your car is still out front. The valets are complaining. Actually, I smiled, it's exactly where it belongs. Just like me. The following morning dawned clear and crisp, a perfect New York autumn day. I arrived at Sterling Tower at precisely 8:30 a.m., giving myself time to prepare for the 9 a.m. announcement. This time I drove my actual car, a custom Bentley with SVG1 plates, straight into the private underground garage. The building was already buzzing with activity. News vans lined the street, reporters speculating about the mysterious press conference. Security teams, my security teams, had taken their positions throughout the building. Good morning, Miss Sterling, Thomas greeted me at the private elevator. Your father and brother arrived early. They're demanding access to the executive floor. I smiled. Perfect. Let them wait in the main conference room. And make sure all cameras are running. The executive floor had been transformed overnight. Gone were the dark wood panels and outdated decor my father loved. In their place stood sleek, modern designs with sustainable materials. The Sterling Real Estate logo had been replaced with the Sterling Ventures global emblem, a rising phoenix wrapped around a tower. At 8:55 a.m., I watched through the security feeds as my family was escorted into the conference room. Marcus immediately tried to take his usual seat at the head of the table. I'm sorry, sir, my new head of security informed him. That seat is reserved for the CEO. I am the CEO. Marcus snapped. Not anymore, I said, entering the room. The looks on their faces were priceless. My father half rose from his chair, face reddening. Sarah? What are you doing here? This is a private meeting. You're right, I agreed, taking my seat at the head of the table. A private meeting between Sterling Ventures Global's CEO and the former management of Sterling Real Estate. Before they could respond, the wall screens came to life. Live feeds showed the lobby filling with press, while other screens displayed real-time data from all SVG properties across Manhattan. This is ridiculous, Marcus laughed, but there was uncertainty in his voice. You can't be. The mysterious buyer? I finished for him. The one who's been acquiring properties across Manhattan? The new owner of Sterling Tower? Actually, I am. I pressed a button and documents began appearing on the screens. Property deeds, acquisition records, financial statements, all showing my signature as CEO of Sterling Ventures Global. Impossible, my father whispered. You couldn't afford. You don't have the experience. Remember when you denied my proposal for sustainable building upgrades? I asked. I took that plan to investors instead. Built my own company while you thought I was playing with small investments. Every time you excluded me from deals, I made better ones. Every property you rejected, I acquired. The Anderson building, Marcus realized, slumping in his chair. That's why you knew about Brunswick Holdings. I am Brunswick Holdings, I corrected. Along with about 20 other companies you've been competing against. While you were bragging about leasing 3 floors, I own the entire building. Caroline burst into the room waving her phone. Michael, have you seen the news? They're saying dash. It's all true, I interrupted. Sterling Ventures Global now owns Sterling Tower, along with most of your other properties. We'll be implementing immediate changes, starting with the sustainable upgrades you mocked 3 years ago. The screens showed the press conference beginning downstairs. My PR team was announcing the changes. Employee-focused policies, environmental initiatives, community investment programs. Everything my father had dismissed as charity projects was about to become reality. You can't do this to family, my father finally managed. Family. I stood up, controlling my emotions. Like when you gave Marcus my mother's shares after she died. Or when you told investors I wasn't cut out for real estate. This isn't about family. It's about business. Something you taught me very well, though not in the way you intended. Security feeds showed the lobby erupting as my identity was revealed to the press. The stock market ticker on one screen showed SVG shares soaring as the news broke. Your offices have been relocated to the 3rd floor, I informed them. You'll find the lease terms generous, though non-negotiable. Sterling Real Estate can continue operating, but under SVG oversight. You're enjoying this, Marcus accused. No, I replied honestly. I'm transforming this company into what it should have been all along. A force for positive change in real estate, not just profit. My phone buzzed. The Forbes interviewer had arrived. It was time to tell my story to the world. By the way, I added, heading for the door, my car will be parking in the executive spot from now on. It's where it belongs, just like me. The next few hours were a whirlwind of interviews, press conferences, and meetings. I unveiled plans for transforming not just Sterling Tower, but all SVG properties into models of sustainable, community-focused development. The business world was captivated by the story, the underestimated daughter who built an empire right under her family's nose. Late that evening I stood in my office, my real office, looking out over the city. The lights of Manhattan sparkled below, including many buildings now under SVG control. My assistant brought in the early editions of tomorrow's papers. Sterling Tower's new queen. Sarah Sterling revolutionizes Manhattan real estate. Hidden empire. How Sarah Sterling built a real estate giant in secret. From overlooked to overseer. The Sarah Sterling story. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. It was my father, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Your mother, he said quietly. She always said you saw things differently. Said you'd change everything someday. He paused. I should have listened. Yes, I agreed. You should have. He nodded slowly, then turned to leave. At the door he stopped. The sustainable upgrades. They're good ideas. All of it is. It wasn't an apology, but it was something. As he left, I turned back to the window, watching my city glitter in the darkness. Tomorrow we would begin transforming these buildings into something more than just profit centers. But tonight I allowed myself a moment to savor the victory. The parking spot they'd denied me now had my name on it, just like the building, the company, and the future of Manhattan real estate.